purpose of the tape series that we're going to do here is to try to tie together some of the history of skiing, where it's come from, where the sport is today, and where we believe the sport will be in the future. Certainly it is the most wonderful sport, and there's a lot of things about the sport that we think are misunderstood or misinterpreted. So what we like to do is to start to think about the sport rather than from the body down, that the body causes skiing. I would rather think about the sport as happening in the snow. So really what we're doing when we're skiing is balancing over the interaction of the ski in the snow. So when I start to build this concept of skiing and where we will be, I think it's important that we start from the snow and build up from there. To start with the modern ski, and I know that there's a few different skis behind me, and we'll talk a little bit about that as it relates to technique and what's changed in our sport. But the important things that we need to understand about skiing on a modern ski is this. And if I were to take the running surface of the ski and place my thumbs at the running surface tip and tail, and I would like to find out where the balance point, where the middle of that ski is. So when I do that, if I look over top of my nose, there's a thing here called the anti-friction device, and that really is the center of the running surface of the ski, the part of the ski that's in the snow. When we look at the sport, and I think you can see this, if I were to take the ski and depress it here, we get a much more even arc. And I know a lot of people think about the sport as being done on the middle of the foot or the arch, but here you can see that as I bend the ski in a different location, in the middle, between the binding, that the ski bends more in the tail, and certainly if I flex the ski from the heel part, the shape of the ski is much more dramatic in the back and much more open in the front. So we get the most even arc to our ski when we press it here in the middle on the anti-friction device of the ski. So that's the first concept that we have to begin to understand, is that the balance point, the turning balance point of the ski, is here on the AFD. And that would be where I would prefer that we talked about applying pressure to the ski. Now why we want to apply pressure to the ski is to let it take advantage of the side cut. And you can see the ski has some side cut. That means it's narrower under the foot, wider in the tip, and wider in the tail. When I show this to people, a lot of times people really don't understand what the ski is, and I say the ski is a tool, and we need to understand how to use the tool properly. The best way to show it is this. If I place the ski flat and tip it up on its edge, you can see here that the tip and the tail are already biting into the snow. So there is no need to lever pressure out to the tip to engage it or the tail. So now all we need to do is to press in this AFD area of the ski, and you can see that there's room underneath my fingers. When I press here, the ski starts to bend into that arc, which with forward momentum would let the ski pull us into the turn. So again, to review, we would like to stand in the middle of the ski, the balance point of the ski, and press in that area. That corresponds from our foot position inside the boot to basically the ball of the foot. So we want to have pressure on the ball of the foot, pressing down onto the ski, not in the middle, not on the arch, not on the heel, and we want to use the ski's potential to turn. That means that the tip and the tail will engage just by edging, and once they're engaged, we only need to press in the middle to get an even arc for the ski to ride around. We talk a lot about carved turns, and we'll discuss that and a little bit of the history of skis. You'll see as we talk about some of the other skis how the sport has evolved to now allow us to actually carve turns. So those two important things, the balanced turning point of the ski and the shape of the ski and how to use it. When we look at some of the older skis, and I were to take, well, let's just take a Strato, and some of us probably have skied on these. This is not as long a ski as what we used to ski on for myself, but it gives you an example when you compare the side cut and shape of the ski. You can see here that because the ski did not have a tremendous amount of side cut, we needed to get pressure out onto the tip of the ski. So you can imagine now that people needed to apply pressure forward somehow. They couldn't put it further forward than this unless they leaned on something, and therefore we talked about stiffer boots and some of the things that happened because of that. That would move the turning point of the ski further out. It did two things. The more pressure I lever onto the forebody of the ski to help it engage, I also lightened the tail and helped it to slide around. So skis were not really capable at that time of carving a turn that was useful in a race course or on the mountain. Yes, they would carve, but the arc would be so big that it would not be useful. So we had to slide the ski into a position, and there was a lot more talk about edge sets and getting pressure back out of the ski from that standpoint. So again, boots were different and needed to be stiffer to lever out onto the tip, both engaging the tip and lightening the tail of the ski to allow it to slide around. The modern ski, as we've just talked about, because the side cut of the ski, we only need to tip it. Once it's tipped, it bites both in the tip and the tail, allowing us then to press in the middle of the ski and ride the natural arc of the ski. And we'll talk more later on about radius and the numbers that are on the ski and what they actually mean and how we can think about that in a useful way to allow us to pick the skis maybe that are more appropriate for us.